So far, we've had a couple hours of testimony here from Michael Cohen, and parts of it have been absolutely devastating. In fact, the last part of it was the most devastating when he talked about how the Republicans in Congress are covering up for Trump in just the same way that Michael Cohen covered up for him for the last 10 years.
Exactly, and that's the point you were making earlier, but it's also the genuineness of the experience. And this guy before Congress, I think, forgetting what he's saying, and I'm not saying to do that, but if you put that aside for a moment, there's something that is compelling about his testimony that's very everyman, and that seems or feels honest. We know that Michael Cohen has lied. Most people didn't watch him lie. I think more people are watching this today, and my sense, being just one person, is that there is something authentic about what he's doing finally now before Congress.
Yeah, and as we've been doing the play-by-play coverage on TYT.com, we've been telling you the things that make sense and don't make sense, both from Democrats, Republicans, and Michael Cohen himself. So when he talks about how he got money from the Bank of Kazakhstan, although that's not exactly what it's called, and he says it wasn't meant to influence the administration, I don't believe him. Okay, I think it was meant to influence the administration, but that would be admitting another crime, and he doesn't want to do that. Okay,
right. And also, I think it was never written out, so legally it wasn't. Right?
Technically, but we don't believe that. Okay, or at least I don't. But when he's talking about Donald Trump and the different things that they did together, it rings incredibly true, and it has very specific details. And he says, "Look, I'm not trying to evade justice. I did those things." He kept saying over and over again, "I own them. I own them. Right. Those are mistakes, and I did them, and I did them because I was greedy and I wanted power and I liked working with Donald Trump, and it was also for my benefit." But think about it logically, guys. And if you're watching this, it's super obvious. You know, Representative Paul Gosar talked about how, you say you were lying on Donald Trump's behalf. Well, given that he was his personal attorney and his quote unquote fixer, that makes some sense. But Gosar says, no, we think you were lying only for your interest. When have you ever paid off someone else's mistress on your own behalf? That makes no sense at all.
Of course not.
I mean, why would you do? Of course he's paying off Donald Trump's mistresses on behalf of Donald Trump. Now, every MAGA guy in the world knows that. In fact, I've been saying it on Twitter, and a lot of the people on social media, the conservatives are like, yeah, so what? Okay, there you go, thank you, I appreciate that, okay? And the answer to your question is, Michael Cohen's going to prison for, one of the things he's going to prison for is campaign finance violations. Because you cannot have someone else give you more than $2,700 in a general election or $5,400 for a primary and general election. And Michael Cohen gave $130,000 because to help the campaign.
In-kind donation.
That's called an in-kind donation. And then Donald Trump paid him back, and the testimony shows he paid him back even while he was president. And the guy's got literal receipts. And he's like, he's
got checks, he's got the checks.
Yeah, he says, you don't have to trust me. Here's a check from Donald J. Trump. Here, and there was another one from Donald Trump Jr. and Trump's accountant paying Michael Cohen back for paying off the mistresses. That is a felony that Michael Cohen is going to jail for. Now, who do you think was his co-conspirator? Is that hard to figure out? That's why even the MAGA guys don't really deny that. Of course Trump slept with those mistresses. In fact, the MAGA guys brag about it. They're like, yeah, that's right. That's what a guy's supposed to do. Sleep while his wife's pregnant, sleep with Playboy models. That's alpha male, right? Okay, that's fine. But you're admitting a felony. Sleeping with a woman is not a felony. Using somebody else's money for your campaign, which he most clearly did, is a felony. So put aside anything in Mueller's report, and that's a separate matter. Are we gonna do anything about an obvious felony that the whole country knows Donald Trump created?
Right, and you brought up Mueller. I think it's an important thing that what's happening on Capitol Hill today and now with all this testimony is we haven't gotten Mueller yet. But this is the setup, and Mueller will be presumably the corroboration. And that is a really important part of this, is that when Mueller comes in after this investigation, after these lawyers, testimony that's not from convicted liars and admitted liars, that's the corroboration for everything we're seeing. So it's very important to remember that this happens in concert in a way.
So I want to say one more thing, and we're going to be covering this live as we do with all these important political events all throughout the day. tyt.com/live to watch it. And by the way, in the morning when we had some technical difficulty, we still were up for our members. So if you're a member, it's always guaranteed coverage. tyt.com/join to become a member. You want to try it out for free? tyt.com/trial. Today would be a good day to do that. We'll have some portions for just members, okay? But the last point I want to make for now is that they keep saying, oh, you say you worked for Donald Trump for 10 years and he was a liar and he was a con man. Why'd you do that? But Michael Cohen's saying, yeah, I know, I'm owning up to that now. I said I did it for power and greed and I shouldn't have done it and I'm going to prison for it. But I'd like to reverse the question, and I hope that some of the Democrats get to this later. Well then, if Michael Cohen's such an obvious liar, why did Donald Trump have him as his personal lawyer for 10 years? If Michael Cohen's such an obviously bad guy and a criminal, is Donald Trump so stupid that he couldn't tell things that you think are super obvious? Or did he keep him because he knew he was a criminal and a liar?
Right, yeah, and if Democrats don't ask it because they all have questions that they want to ask, that's up to the press to ask those questions of these Republicans on the Hill. And it's just when they come out of that committee room and say, why are you still protecting this guy knowing what you know about this guy?
Yeah, and look, it's discouraging, and I know this is like the oldest thing in the world, and we've talked about it for 17 years straight on this show. But you see the Republicans and Democrats, in this case the Republicans are the ones covering up for a criminal, but line up all on party lines. And every Democrat is positive collusion happened. Every Democrat believes every word of Michael Cohen, et cetera. As we just told you, we don't believe every word of Michael Cohen. It depends on the context, right? But given the context that he admitted to being a liar and is going to jail for it, et cetera, right? But every Republican hears this compelling testimony about how Michael Cohen and Donald Trump worked to run several cons through all those years, including up through when he was president, and goes, nope, I don't hear it, I don't see it. This guy's an obvious criminal. He worked with Donald Trump for 10 years, but Donald Trump is innocent, pure as the driven snow.
Right, but they believed Cohen when he testified the first time, and they were on his side when he testified the first time.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right? So that's how flimsy the partisanship is.
It's just, and all of them working in collaboration with Donald Trump to protect Donald Trump, when at a bare minimum on the issue of the campaign finance violations, he is clearly and overwhelmingly guilty. It's a little sickening to watch.
Yeah, and listen, I think it was Jody Heiss who asked him this, the Georgia congressman, if Mr. Trump is a con man, what are you? And he said, I'm a fool. That's what they will one day say at some point.
That's right. And if you think that Michael Cohen's in a lot of trouble for protecting Donald Trump for all those years, what's going to happen to all those Republican congressmen? And I guarantee you, after all, look, they have receipts. They have all of the checks.
Right.
They have the documents. Michael Cohen recorded a lot of the conversations. And after it's proven, and Trump is at some point leaves the presidency, I guarantee you that a lot of those Republicans will say, oh, there was no way we could know.
Yeah.
There was no way we could know. When you are watching with us today live, and you can see with your own eyes that we all know, we know now